are still trying to take our independence away from us, and they're right here. We're rolling up Iranian terrorists right here in my home state, and in the state right next door to me, an Iranian sniper was rolled up just yesterday. So be armed lawfully, keep your head on a swivel, be ready to defend your country and yourselves. I'll see you in a week.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Live Up to Freedom. Thank you, Jesus. It is Friday. What a week. What a month. What's next? I have no idea. But here's what I do know is I will be joined here shortly with my very good friend, also founder of American Truth Project, Barry Nussbaum. But before we bring him on, I want to go over something real quick. And hopefully this is the last time I'm going to have to say this. I might even cut this clip, put it out everywhere. But here's the thing. My fellow Americans, my fellow Iranians, my fellow humans, to pretend that there is no other way so you can justify your guys' actions, it's starting to become too much. To justify one's actions that are wrong is not to bring up the other guy's wrongdoing. Everywhere you go on social media, first of all, if anybody says anything about President Trump that is of criticism, the answer is, look what Obama did, look what Biden did, look what Bush did. So if you're admittedly saying what they did was wrong, and then you're saying they did it, so now Trump doing it is right, I don't know. Look in the mirror. For everybody who keeps saying, what would you do? There is no other way. We have to use diplomacy. Come on. Can we stop pretending like there's no other option to deal with these Islamists, these jihadists? There are other ways. Why don't you come out, especially on my page, and say, listen, Inos, I don't like you criticizing Trump. I don't like you criticizing Trump administration. I don't like you criticizing anything about America, even though you have earned your position to do so because you're an American citizen. You've been here for 24 years. You have paid your taxes. You don't even have as far as a traffic ticket. Therefore, you have earned the freedom to criticize the government peacefully and politely. But I don't like you doing it, so I will unfollow you. Stop coming at me with the following. Why don't you get out of America, go to Iran and fight for your country? Because I don't want to die yet. Stop telling me that there is no other option. Trump has the best option. Trump ain't God. Okay? Get it in your head. He makes mistakes. He has made plenty of mistakes. Now, if he is your God, then good for you. Beauty of America. You can be part of a cult and nobody can say otherwise. Have you seen the Muslims in America? You can join your cult, but you don't get to lie and you don't get to spread the lies. Okay, that's out of my system, out of my chest. Now we can move on with our show today. Joining me today for the second time in last 2 weeks is Barry Nussbaum, founder of American Truth Project, dear friend. We actually collaborate a lot, and I hope that we can expect to see more of him on my show, Live Up to Freedom. Hi, Barry. How you doing?
Aloha, shalom. Great to see you, Annie.
It is lovely to see you. What do you think of my little rant there?
I think you're right. I think people forget how lucky they are to live in a place where you can shoot your mouth off legally and not get shot for shooting your mouth off. And what I mean by that is our precious Constitution that gives us the right to express our opinion short of yelling fire in a movie theater is very unique in world history. And you can be stupid, you can be smart, you can be inane, you can be brilliant. It's all okay. And making someone shut up for using their freedom of speech, to me, is an abrogation of the rights given to us in 1776 in the Constitution, actually through 1789, and we should preciously guard those freedoms.
Amen. And again, here's the thing: of all the people in my life, you know me very well. I feel, and I don't get offended, but I do feel insulted when they flat out tell me to get out. I have earned my citizenship and seat in this country. How dare you tell me to get out simply because I'm bringing facts and opinion on the table?
They don't understand the basic tenets of the rights given, the God-given rights from our Constitution. The ability to express oneself without declaring some sort of jihad against somebody else, and I mean jihad to commit murder or assault or whatever, is never, ever, ever to be lost, and is to be protected at any cost. Like they always say, I will defend your right to say anything other than to call for my death. And that's the way it should be. The idea, get out, I don't like what you're saying, is insane.
Agreed.
And wrong.
I did end up telling one of them, like, make me. I'm a citizen. I'm an American passport. Make me. Like, I'm not leaving. Kick me out of here if you can. Anyhow. Okay, let's dive into more serious issues of our time that are more than my social media madness. There are two things we want to talk about. I personally think the most pressing issue right now being overshadowed for this with the second most pressing issue is this wonderful, handsome, charming, charismatic 33-year-old puppet of AOC and Bernie Sanders and Ayatollah Khamenei in New York City. So I just put out a Substack, I want to say a day ago or two, going over Madami's, background, where he comes from, where he's been until today. My one-liner opinion is New York City could very well be destroyed and turned into London if this guy, and it's a very tiny if, I don't think it's too far from reality, if this guy becomes the mayor of New York City. What are your thoughts on this very current situation?
Well, I think you're right, except it's worse than that. And what I mean by that is, as bad as London is, where the jihadis and their sympathizers have taken over the streets at call to prayer, even though that's illegal, where the mosques are broadcasting all day long, even though that's illegal, where the Sharia courts are now operating, contravening the rights guaranteed under British law, even though that's illegal. All that could happen in New York. The part that makes it much worse is this guy is combining Islam with communism. He wants to make New York free zone everything. Food and drugs and housing and transportation and medical care. And the problem is the education of the young people that voted in New York, and I include, oh my God, I hate to say it, the young Jews of New York don't understand there's no such thing as a free lunch. And this guy is promising everybody, whomever they are, whatever their wants and needs are, oh, you can have that for free. New York is already broke because of the open border sanctuary policies of the last 4 years. They have no extra money. And the idea that the city is going to run grocery stores and drugstores and open up transportation and give free education is insane. You will see the most populous city in New York, and I mean these words literally, economically and socially destroyed within a couple of years. And that is no exaggeration. That is literally what will happen.
Agreed. And here's one thing I've been asked repeatedly of, are New Yorkers going to get out of New York City or New York altogether or are they going to stay? I honestly don't know. At this point, I feel like
I do have an answer. I have an answer already.
Go for it.
The broker, if you happen to go on right now, you could Google realtors in South Florida, and they are being inundated with requests to see properties. I'm talking about people upper middle class and above that are looking for high-end apartments that they can buy, obviously in Florida, much, much cheaper than New York. They want to get out, and they are trying to rush the doors before the doors slam shut. In other words, what I mean by that, and having come from the real estate business, when you're in a market where there's a balance between buyers and sellers, there's a market equilibrium, which is hopefully the way that markets should be conducted. You can sell and someone will buy at a good price, or you can buy and someone will sell at a good price. But when everybody's selling, there's nothing to hold the market up. And right now, the rush to the doors, the listings are blowing up in New York, literally in the last week. People are scared to death. And everybody that's been thinking about getting out of New York is listing properties for sale, Annie, every day. And the brokers in New York in Florida are making appointments every 45 minutes for so many clients from out of town. And people are requesting to see properties by Zoom because there's so much competition in good neighborhoods.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Who voted for this guy? Is it that New Yorkers failed to show up because they gave up on voting? Was there a rigged election? How does this guy win the primary if everybody's trying to get out and nobody wants him?
If you asked me the question a month ago, could a socialist Islamic radical who's never had a job, never been in government, has no experience, could he be elected? I would say 1 in 1,000. Because it doesn't seem possible. It just doesn't seem possible. What happened was the Free Train Brigade went nuts, realizing that all of a sudden they could get tons and tons of free stuff. And remember, the envy, which is a sin in the Bible, is infecting millions of New Yorkers who want free stuff. So Mondani hit that vein right on the button. You want free this? Okay. You want free this? Okay. You want to get rid of the rich? Okay. You want to fight the oligarchs because we hate rich people? Okay. There's nothing he won't say no to. I mean, if you go back and read I'm not joking, the writings of Lenin, when he was trying to figure out how to take over Tsarist Russia, he talked about giving every sect of the society that's definable whatever their wish list is. And then, of course, once you're in power and you consolidate your hold on power, anyone that protests goes to a gulag in the case of Russia, or in Iran, the same thing. Remember, it's this kind of fascism takeover is what got the Ayatollah control of Iran in 1979. Everybody was promised whatever they wanted. The students were in the street because they hated the Shah. The Muslims that believed in strict Islam were in the streets because they wanted Sharia. Capitalists wanted to not share their companies with the government. Everybody thought it was going to be free for society. And then what happened is, within 6 months, women went from the courthouse to locked in the back room covered in black. And by then, it was too late. And there's never been a free and open election since. The difference here is that there is freedom around New York. And this isn't a country, even though the GNP of New York is bigger than most countries in the world. There is a tremendous, almost an avalanche of outpouring of opposition. and is scrambling to figure out what can we do to prevent him from winning the general election in November. And there's already a plan being talked about, and if you want to address that, we can, that maybe has a chance of succeeding to prevent him from ever being sworn in as the next mayor of New York.
Well, yeah, I would definitely want to discuss that and much more. But let's go ahead and head over to our first ad break, hear from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion. Don't go anywhere. Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure for this, I hope I'll see you at lutfstudio.com. Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. And yes, check out lutfstudio.com. Use promo code MISSION for special discounts that you will receive. Handmade, all by myself. I should say all by my hands, not myself, my hands. And all products you use, including the molds and everything, is 100% US made. So you're supporting US made product, and I know Cyrus made product. lutfstudio.com, promo code MISSION. Okay, let's get back to the discussion with the one and only Barry Nussbaum. Barry, where do people go to support you and your organization in your efforts?
Thanks for asking, Annie. It's simple. Findbarry.com. Findbarry.com takes you to our American Truth Project website, where you can sign up to get all of our content absolutely for free, because we don't charge for content. And you'll get our mailers, you'll get my articles, you'll get interviews with people like you and others. There's, I think, 3,500 videos posted there on everything that relates to our key issues relating to American security, the American-Israel relationship, anti-Semitism, and of course protecting the stability and freedom of our closest ally in the Middle East, Israel.
Absolutely. And when you do go to findbarry.com, American Truth Project is a nonprofit organization. So sign up for the newsletter. Those of you who can afford to make a donation that is 100% tax deductible, go ahead and do that, because I can tell you, previously being part of American Truth Project, I'm the former national director of American Truth Project. It is way more costly than you would imagine to do everything they do over there. So get behind them, make a donation, or get your tax write-off receipt, and that way you know you're a part of a good cause, not just the educational cause, but somewhere where you find the truth, facts. Barry always shows his receipt. He's not gonna, I mean, that's why we work together. Yeah, he's not gonna just sit there and get all emotional. So that's that. Talking about donations, Barry, when I was researching to write this Substack, or when I started monitoring Mamdani, I came across some information showing that majority of his donations to his campaign didn't even come from Queens, didn't even come from New York as a state. It mainly came from Minnesota, California, Illinois. I know there's nothing wrong with it, but could this be the moment where we could say, oh, it was the test run? The named states are next to start putting their red-green axis candidate up? Or am I stretching that?
I think you're right on the button here, Annie. Well, first of all, Minnesota, especially certain places, and Michigan, certain places, and California, certain places, are literally little Baghdad or little Tehrans, where the Muslim population is so large, they are no longer worried about integration and assimilation. They are living, for the most part, as a large group, according to Sharia. And for example, just outside of Texas, there's a whole town called Epic City that they've been attempting to build. And they've made it very clear that they are going to elect Islamic candidates who follow Sharia, and it will be the Quran instead of the American Constitution. And this is the first major victory in the United States political history. I might add, by the way, that while we were on break looking at your fabulous artwork a second ago, I was reading an article. Former Governor Cuomo, who lost in the Democrat primary, says the reason he is not dropping out of the race now is they have irrefutable evidence that there was massive voter tampering from foreign sources that got into the voting machines in regards to the rank voting programming. In other words,
I'm sorry. I have to jump in. Are you telling me now Democrats are claiming foreign influence into election fraud? Is that what I just heard?
Absolutely. You talk about the irony. Now there's voter fraud. Now they're getting into the machines, which, as you remember, in 2020 was impossible.
Impossible. And if you said otherwise, you would be sued.
Oh, well, look at poor Mike Lindell, among other people, got politically and financially destroyed. Kerry Lake, the same thing in Arizona. Former mayor of New York, same thing. If you dared to say that it sure seemed like you could get into these voting machines electronically, I'll tell you something. I have had a number of interviews with General Michael Flynn, who was the national security advisor in Trump's first administration. He says he has seen irrefutable, incontrovertible truth that the facts cannot be disputed, that there was foreign influence in our elections, because when you have electronic voting where the machines are connected to the internet, you can hack in, which is why places like Florida, they have paper ballots and they count them in 3 hours. Israel, paper ballots for the whole country, decided in a couple of hours. California, electronic voting takes 3 weeks. Why? Well, I guess they got to decide, what votes are right and what votes are wrong, and maybe some more votes should come in, and so on. We saw that in 2020 in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Georgia, and Arizona. So now, the story is breaking right now. I urge all your voters to go Google it. Right now, Cuomo is saying he has evidence proving Islamic agents hacked into the New York voting electronic tabulation machines and affected the rank voting programs.
Okay.
Wow.
Let me just insert a note here. Number one, I want to reach out to Republicans and conservatives out there. Okay, just because he's claiming what he's claiming, and no matter what the outcome is, doesn't mean he's a good guy. Okay, don't start bigging him up immediately. You know how that works, Barry, right? He's going to become a hero for Republicans now. He's still the same failure he was before announcing this. Second thing, why is it that, quickly going back, why is it that when Islamic Republic of Iran's tied or backed hackers put out information that they did hack Pennsylvania in 2020, we all said impossible? Why would Iran have anything to do with our election? What do they care?
Because we'd like the outcome if we were Democrats. Duh.
Because Biden would come back to indirect negotiations and unfreeze all of our assets and let us build what we wanted to build.
Of course.
And that's the thing. Back then, it was, of course, we all saw the outcome. We all saw the backlash. We were all called all sort of names under the sun. But the interesting thing is, when I say everything is a test run, 2020 was a test run for the Islamic side. Now, I'm not saying necessarily this is correct or it's not. I'm saying the potential, the possibilities of every question. Myself, Barry Nussbaum, Brannon House, Jamie Glazow, we've been asking these questions for 5 years, but it never made it to any mainstream because, well, it's us. But I'm pretty sure by end of today, every single alphabet channel you flip through is going to talk about this, right? Most likely some of them are going to have some leaked information to shield the proof on air too. The double standards are just exhausting.
I think the difference, and you hit the nail right on the head. Now the outcome is terrifying mainstream. It should. So when you've got mainstream Democrats flipping out and trying to figure out what to do, you've got Republicans like Bill Ackerman, who's a billionaire, saying, I'll back any Democrat that will run a spirited campaign against this crazy guy. And they're trying to get Curtis Sliwa to drop out on the Republican side to pick up his 3 or 4% support and rally everyone behind Cuomo. And Ackerman will put in an open checkbook just to defeat this guy in the general election, having to run somebody probably on the independent ticket. New York's in a panic. Anyone that is in business of a substantial nature, they're talking about investment banks moving out of New York. They're talking about large corporate headquarters moving out of New York because you have a full-blown, self-avowed communist slash Islamist slash follower of radical Shia Islam. This is a guy that believes in the 12th Imam, and he talks about it. And then you can throw in all his other political beliefs like from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. He won't walk that back. He doesn't think Israel has the right to exist. He will not fight anti-Semitism, and on and on and on. I mean, this guy is so bad on so many levels. It blows my mind that
Yes,
the uninformed in New York voted in the millions for this guy because primarily, as you pointed out, and I think there's a lot to be said for it, AOC is extremely popular. Doesn't matter if she's dumber than a stump and got fired from Hot Dog on a Stick and used to dance on a bar when she was a bartender. And Bernie Sanders, who's never had a job in his life and believes in communism, they endorsed this guy. Yay! Socialism, communism, free stuff for everybody. And then, of course, if you can affect the vote tallies by getting into the voting machines, you can pull off what is so far the upset of the century.
Yes, but you know, here's what bothers me the most, or I guess bothers me the most. Number one, we're talking about New York. Like, did everybody genuinely forgot about September 11th? Just like that? You all forgot about it? Number two.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Go on.
They did. They did.
Yes.
They forgot about it. Yeah, I know. Or basically, I should rephrase that. Did you really buy the propaganda of it had nothing to do with Islam? Because that's worse. It's one thing to not have a great memory of 24 some years ago. But if you bought into the narrative, into the propaganda, then we're going to have to talk. The number two issue that I'm facing is when you look at the reports out there, there's a handful of us, Barry, who's pointing out the Islamist communist. You know, they're not pointing out the red-green axis. They're just pushing the communist part, the socialist part, not saying that is a good thing. I'm just saying that the level of cover-up for the green side of this man, the background, the mother who has pushed so many movies out there in, you know, narrating Islam as this peaceful, oppressed group of people, all of that seemed to be just kind of being brushed away. It's like, okay, we don't want to target the Islam part. We're just going to talk about the socialist part. And I know a lot of them are aware of it. Listen, he never hid his Shia Muslim beliefs, never did it. He talked about it every Ramadan. He's bombarding his social media with Islamic Quranic verses and talk about Ramadan and how on this iftar, it's sad to know that people of Palestine don't have anything to eat. Crimea River, the same river they want to chant on. Point is, our own side is brushing over the Islam danger of it and just highlighting the social side of it, which again, to me, there are post-socialist, post-communist countries and nations out there, but show me the post-Islamic one. As Dr. Bill Warner was said, you don't find one. When they conquer and become the government, I mean, look at Iran right now. I need to stop this rant. We got to go to our next ad break. When we come back, I want to have your take on what I just said. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Nature has a rhythm, a quiet strength, a way of restoring, protecting, and renewing us. Wellness isn't just about how you feel today. It's the quiet choices you make for tomorrow. At myvitamin.com/worldview, we've made daily self-care simple. Quality vitamins, daily supplements, and targeted nutrition. myvitamin.com/worldview makes it easy. Pure ingredients thoughtfully combined, tailored for your body. Formulated by a doctor who has over 25 years of medical practice experience and is a certified functional medicine provider. Visit myvitamin.com/worldview today and take the next step towards strength, balance, and resilience. Discover the wide range of med packs made for you and your loved ones. What you nurture today becomes the strength you walk in tomorrow.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. I appreciate that. And remember, every time we go to an ad break, if it's my artist studio, if it's the myvitamin.com/worldview, if it's Bella, whatever it is, through these sponsors is how we do what we do right here on Worldview Tube. So check them out. If there's a product that you see a need for, just go grab it. If you're getting your vitamins from somewhere else, you can switch over. Now that's the weird thing is we're not even asking you to necessarily spend extra. We're just asking you to divert the spending to a more worthy cause. myvitamin.com/worldview. I never thought I would have to say a URL that has all the V and W's that I can't pronounce, but here we are. I just said it. Okay. We appreciate your support. We always do. Let's bring back Barry. I went on this rant, Barry, before we went on ad break. What are your thoughts on me thinking they're covering up the Islamic part?
I hate to say it because he did some really good things, and I spent time with him on a couple of occasions. In fact, I spent half a day with him before he was president. I'm talking about George Bush. I can't get the figure out of my mind of him standing on the rubble of the World Trade Centers after 9/11, proclaiming that Islam was the religion of peace and that radicals had hijacked the religion. In the history of America, there has never been a stupider, more ignorant statement by a sitting president than that by George W. Bush. It's clear he was kissing the tushy of Saudi Arabia and the other Islamic states who, by that time, American intelligence knew who the hijackers were, knew who had financed the hijackings, and knew that they did that because they were fulfilling Islamic prophecy, instruction, and Sharia. The fact of the matter is, this is all distraction. The idea that he's a communist is attractive to most of the voters. If all the truth came out and there were billboards in New York City during the election time, Annie, that said, if you're a woman, your new mayor believes the only thing that should show when you're on the street are your eyes. If you're a woman, you can't go on the street without your brother or husband, or you should be beaten. If you're a woman, here are the instructions that the new mayor believes should be followed in the way you should be beaten if you don't follow the instructions of your man. And on and on and on. And I'm not being inflammatory.
Oh,
I'm being
footnote.
literal.
And you start becoming a woman at age 9, by the way.
Thank you. And yeah, it goes on and on. I mean, you're the scholar. You taught me so much about it. It's the more you learn, the more horrifying it becomes. So if you're a political candidate, don't go there. Talk about the free groceries. Talk about the free rides on the subway. Talk about a free college education. Talk about the free medical care. All those free things sound so wonderful. Yeah, he's an Islamist, not really sure what that means. I don't really know. And besides, I get my news from TikTok. That is the traditional, probably average New York voter, and millions of them voted for this guy. There's going to be something very interesting. Hundreds of millions of dollars are going to flow into New York media between now and November, Annie, telling the story of who this guy really is. And then the question is, there's two questions actually. Can they get the story out, which I believe they can because Ackerman says he'll finance it, number one. But number two, will the opposition, whether it's Cuomo or Silva or somebody, Mayor Adams, will somebody present a viable alternative that New Yorkers can live with as the lesser of two evils? That's the important part. By the way, there's also the crazy idea that maybe he can be deported because his citizenship is sketchy and he's only been a citizen for, I believe, 7 years. And there may be some questions about the legality of how he became an American, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't that be interesting?
While we're at it, there's another person that should definitely be deported, citizenship revoked. Her name is Ilhan Omar. Look into it, people. We can put them both in the same plane, less costly. It's not going to happen. Barry, we both know.
She married her brother. I mean, there are some issues.
there are some serious. I mean, I think it'd be easier to revoke Ilhan Omar's citizenship than Mamdani's citizenship, but we shall wait and see. But I was trying to find a good segue because I don't want to miss on talking about the ceasefire because that's way too important. And as I said, it's being overshadowed by Mamdani, which again, I'm thinking, is this another distraction? You said something about the statement that George Bush made, and I agree. Heartbreaking, disappointing, pretty stupid, very ignorant, but I might be able to get close, not necessarily topping it, but get close to it with the statement Donald Trump put out on his Truth today. Very upset. It's a long one. I'm not going to read the whole thing. He's very upset that Khamenei came out, the first speech after ceasefire, and instead of showing gratitude and kindness to President Trump, he lied, saying we won the war. But he makes in a statement in that it's one line that I want to read. He starts by saying, why would the so-called supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei of the war-torn country of Iran, say so bluntly and foolishly that he won the war with Israel when he knows his statement is a lie? As a man of great faith, he is not supposed to lie. Let me repeat that part, it's fine. As a man of great faith, he's not supposed to lie. I think that's close enough to what George Bush said.
Well, he has no concept of Islam. I mean, he's required to lie because he's speaking to infidels. Of course he's lying. I sometimes am so impressed with Donald Trump, like blowing up the 3 nuclear sites. And then he comes out with statements like today, where I wish someone would take away his phone so he couldn't tweet anymore, or he couldn't post on Truth Social, because the statements are just goofy. I don't know what else to say. Like the supreme leader should write Donald Trump a thank you note for destroying the $100 billion reactors. And
oh no, the expectation is to say thank you for saving him from an embarrassing or ugly death. And again,
yeah, you're right. You're right. He said he should thank me for not killing him. That was
I saved him from an ugly death, and he should say thank you, Mr. Here's the thing.
Is this the anti-Cyrus comedy hour? I mean, that is so hysterical. That is actually.
And I posted it. Well, I posted it on my Facebook and my Substack with somebody give me President Trump's phone number. Like, I really need to talk to him at this point. Are you telling me you did everything you did? One, did you do it for a thank you? Like, I'm sorry, you are the president of the United States of America. You go after Khamenei in the slightest way if you thought, because he finished that statement by saying, I wish the leaders of Iran would know you get more with honey than vinegar. Like, you do realize these people don't understand the concept of honey for you, right? You're an infidel. You're a kafir. If tables were turned, they wouldn't save you from ugly death. They would have guaranteed that they attempted it. They tried. They've been trying to kill you since you ordered the hit on Qasem Soleimani. But because I want to make sure, I can talk about that one truth for an hour with you, Barry. But let's go here. So he does what he does. He achieved ceasefire. Everybody's celebrating. His own first truth is, congratulations, world. We can all now live in peace. Which right there should tell everybody how much he doesn't know about Islamic regime of Iran. Or he knows, but he just likes to use honey rather than vinegar based on his own statement. You are one of the probably top 3 experts when it comes to the meaning of ceasefire with Islamists. So, what are your thoughts on this ceasefire?
Well, as we know, from the other side, this is a hudna, and Americans need to know what hudna means. It was commanded by Muhammad, when you are losing in battle, you put up the white flag for a while. And the purpose of the white flag is to buy time. And during that time that you buy by saying, we don't want to fight anymore, we give up, you rearm, you come up with new plans, you come up with subterfuges to conquer your enemy, and you work diligently day and night, however long it takes, because they think long term. And then when the hudna is over, and there's a statutory period for it in Sharia, then they come back stronger and badder and worse than ever, which I absolutely guarantee is in the minds of the Iranian regime, which is why every scholar that knows what they're talking about says the only solution to dealing with Iran, the only solution is regime change. And until and unless that happens, you got to get ready, if you're in the West and you're in Israel, for the next missile launch and the next time they kick out the IAEA. I mean, they're already saying, when I say they, I mean through the office of the Supreme Leader, that they are abrogating their understanding and obligations under the Non-Proliferation Treaty for nuclear materials, meaning they can do whatever they want. They are not going to allow any more inspections. The fact of the matter is there are rumors of other sites that were not destroyed, that had not been discovered, that had never been inspected. The question is there more enriched uranium elsewhere? I mean, there's a lot of unsolved stuff. And right now, the world is operating under a hudna. It is not a treaty. And even if it was a treaty, under Islamic law, Muslims do not have to honor a contract with non-Muslims. In fact, if that contract would weaken the Islamic State versus the Kafir state, which is everybody else that's not Islamic, they're not even allowed to follow it. So this is nothing but a pause. And your viewers, I'm sure, from listening to you long enough, know that. This is simply a pause.
Exactly. And we are going in a minute to, well, actually, let's do this because I want to follow up on what you just said on the Hudna. Let's go take our last sponsor break, and then we'll be right back, and we're going to close it all down, connect the dots, and leave you with some thoughts to review. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now, if you did. And I forgot to say at the beginning, I hope you're sharing this feed, whatever platform you're watching us on. I think right now we're on 17 channels. So click that share button or whatever the name of the platform is. Okay, we don't have much time, so let's bring Barry back on. Barry, you talked about Hudna. Now let's talk about another thing that we previously have talked on your show. For anyone on the audience who's not aware, there are 4 sacred months in Islam, inside Quran, that Muslims are not to fight. They're not. 4 months is like break time, kind of. Unless on self-defense and forced. One of those 4 months is Muharram. Muharram started this morning. Local time, our time. Around 4 a.m. they started Muharram. There's a 30 days of forbidden fight for Muslims. And here's the thing. Shia Muslims, Muharram is a big deal. Why? On Ashura and Tasu'a, a lot of you seen a lot of videos of it in London, in Los Angeles, in New York, where you see these people who look very crazy to you. They're wearing all black, they're mourning, they hit themselves with chains, they cut themselves with machetes, bleeding on the streets. That is the day inside Muharram. That is the day that Hussein was killed. Hussein is the Shia's imam, right? Hussein is the second. Hussein was Ali's son, the second imam of the 12 imam of Shias. Muharram is sacred. Yes, they were on their last toe, and that's, by the way, that's why the moment the talk of ceasefire started, I was right at this desk. I just literally held my face in my hand. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. They were on their last toe, almost out of missile launchers, almost out of replacement for their generals and chiefs. And they were days away from stepping into the most sacred month of Shias not to fight. And we just handed them a ceasefire. And for 30 days, they're going to buy time. All of this we're seeing, these 30 days is buying time. They're going to avoid war for next 30 days. And 30 days, I'm sure you can vouch that 30 days is a lot of time for Islamic Republic of Iran and IRGC to regroup and come back stronger, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And to make matters even worse, when Iran breached the ceasefire by launching barrages of missiles that destroyed apartment blocks in Beersheba, southern Israel, after the ceasefire was in effect, Israel in retaliation put up 50-something fighter bombers that were on their way to Iran, and they were going to annihilate commercial enterprises. And my understanding was it included Karg Island, which, if that had happened, Israel would have taken offline Iran's ability to raise any funds. Literally, the government would have been destitute, broke in 10 minutes. And do you know, I'm talking to the audience, I know you know, Annie, who stopped the bombers and turned them around and insisted it?
And put it on Truth Social as well.
Turn those bombers around. And Bibi, under tremendous pressure from the White House, had no choice. It would have fractured the relationship because it would have embarrassed Trump. Because like you said, Trump put it out on social media and he put Bibi in a corner. And the Israelis were furious. There's thousands homeless now in Israel. There are many killed. There are thousands in the hospitals because these ballistic missiles that hit, that got through, were intended to cause mass damage, and they did. And Israel was precluded from responding. And the response, for the first time, would have been economic, not against more IRGC generals, not against politicians, not against missile launchers. They would have hit them in the pocketbook, and it would have been catastrophic. It literally could have brought down the regime.
And just for the record, Iranians inside Iran and those of us outside of Iran were furious when they turned those bombers around. For the record, it wasn't just Israelis. We were very mad that the screenshot of President Trump's truth of turn those bombers around was flying around on Iranian side, Farsi side of social media, with not the nicest things you can say on a post. But I just want to say this wasn't just Israelis being mad. Iranians were even more mad. There are videos, still to this day, out there on social media of Iranians on the streets of Tehran screaming on video of don't listen to Trump. Don't come, don't listen to Trump. And again, nobody's perfect. I get it. But unfortunately, Barry, here's where I stand as we come to the ending of this program. Here's what I stand. Trump, Obama, Biden, Reagan, Carter, I don't care. United States of America genuinely need to learn they are not the world's grandpa. There are times that their diplomacy is costing other people's lives, either literally as of dying or suffering in oppression. How many times me and you have repeatedly went on air live talking about another ceasefire ordered by White House between Israel and Hamas? How many times Israel had Hamas and Houthis completely cornered, about to finish them, and they got a call from White House? I mean, you have covered more of them than I have.
It's true.
When does this end?
I have no explanation. It is so perplexing to me. You launched the biggest secret long-range bombing mission in world history with the most advanced weaponry ever utilized since 1945, when 2 nuclear bombs were dropped. The mission was incredibly successful, but it didn't finish off the job. And then when you have the opportunity to let the job get finished and you do nothing, you step in and stop it. And you're right. Trump walked away from finishing off the Houthis. Nobody can explain why. The Houthis shot missiles at Israel yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I know because my family called me from a bomb shelter in Israel because there was an incoming missile from
But we didn't hear about it in American media because right now we're supposed to make us look good. So Israel is good. Ceasefire on all ends are holding. Hamas is going to call ceasefire in 2 weeks, right? People pay attention to what you hear on American media.
The problem
it doesn't matter
is
who's in the White House.
Right. The problem is news is channeled through whoever is in control, and social media especially is the primary source for most people's news. I can't tell you how many people tell me, oh, I heard this. And I'll listen politely for a minute or so. And I said, well, where did you hear that? Oh, on TikTok. Oh my God. I saw a post on Facebook. I read a tweet or whatever, and they don't dig deep because they've got their life to live. That's why there is Live Up to Freedom. That's why there is American Truth Project, because people need to know to be informed. And if they're informed, they can make better choices. We talked about this at the top of this show. People voted for a communist, radical, Islamist nut job to be mayor of the largest city in America, even though he's completely unqualified, and a radical nut job, because they just didn't know any better. And had they known better, there's not a chance that this guy would have won. But we are, as a people, incredibly ignorant, incredibly uninformed, and we make decisions on little pieces of data, a little bit of something that sounded okay to us. And like you said, sometimes we don't even know that little bit. Like you mentioned a second ago, nobody in America knows the Houthis launched a ballistic missile yesterday that could have literally killed 1,000 people. I know,
Yeah, and
because I got the phone call.
I was about to say yes, and that's the thing. Your sources are right there, right? You have family members there. My sources right there in the country. We get the information from the people right there, with no reason or agenda to lie or twist the truth. None of that. And that's why, as you said, not to be repetitive, but that's why someone like me, someone like you, we have dedicated our life. We don't have a life. You wake up almost at 4:30 in the morning every morning and you're on it. I don't wake up at 4:30. I get up by 7. But all day until we find our pillow, it's okay, this happened, that alert came in, let me answer this call. Oh, got a message from this. We have dedicated our lives, not because we couldn't have a better life, not because I personally would love a vacation. Hey, just give me a long weekend. That's all I'm asking for. But you have experienced it through your family. I have experienced it through my own body. And I really hope people gradually come to realize this isn't attacking Trump or anyone of sort. This is protecting our society. And I mean human society. Call out, question. Don't just say, oh, Trump said this, Hexet said that, Netanyahu even said. What if question everything until you have every single evidence to believe what's in front of you? It's 2025. They make videos that's so terrifyingly real. Unfortunately, we are out of time, Barry. One, I really hope you come back next week for updates, because we both know this isn't over yet. Two, remind our audience one more time, where do they go? What do they do to support all of your efforts?
Well, thanks for asking. I'd be happy to come back. Of course, I love our time together. Findbarry.com, findbarry.com finds you, our viewer, at americantruthproject.org. We are a 501c3. Any donation that you make is fully tax deductible. You write it right off on your taxes, and it helps us spread the word, get the truth out there on literally the subjects that have to do with protecting America into the future for our children and our grandchildren. I can't tell you how important it is that the news that you and I comment on a daily basis is more important today than it has ever been. If you think it's crazy last year, next year may be much, much worse. And that's with a conservative control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. If it wasn't for that, oh, God help us where we would be.
Absolutely. Well, as always, thank you so much, Barry. I will, of course, reach out to you off air, but I look forward to having you back on soon. Stay safe. And if you talk to any family members, give them my love and let them know they are in my prayers.
Thank you so much. All the best. And I hope all your viewers are loyal, Live Up to Freedom followers, because they should be.
I appreciate that. And to my audience, thank you so much for being with me until now. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch your back. Not trying to scare you, but you never know when it's going to go down. And stay informed and look for evidence and make sure to support worldviewtube.com because, well, it is the main platform that is giving us voices. Until next week, stay safe, stay vigilant. Goodbye.
All right, we're going to be joined by Colonel Rob Maness, David Pine, Annie Cyrus, yet tonight, Dr. Lana. But real quick, I wanted to bring my beautiful wife, Melissa House, back into the studio. She hasn't been here in a long time, and I wanted her to come back in and then just tell you how important this elixir is, as well as the other great products at melissahousebg.com. Because, again, this is a major, major way you can help us continue to push out this network and all this great programming free. And, folks, this has 80 clinical trials behind it. Here you go, babe. Great to have you in the studio. The mic is yours.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I just wanted to come on and just thank everyone that is subscribing to Bella Grace. And it's just such an amazing product. And we tell you all, I know Brandon tells you all the time of all the ways it's helped him. And I just get reports from people continually when I'm on the phone where it has helped them in so many different ways. And so I just love to come on here occasionally and just tell people that you're helping support, the network, but you're also going to help support your health. It helps with skin issues. I've had people that have had pretty serious eczema, other skin issues that it's helped with, of course, fine lines, wrinkles, hair growth, all of that is obviously a plus. But
Yeah, it's a plus.
joint health is a really big thing I hear from people that it's really helped them with their joint health. I talked to a lady not too long ago who said she had trouble like walking. She walks a lot outside and she was getting where it was harder for her to walk. And within like a few weeks of taking the Bella Grace, she was able to walk and not have any discomfort. I hear that all the time. I hear people that were having trouble walking around the grocery store and things like that, that are now able to get around really without a lot of discomfort like they used to. And I think it's definitely because of the cat's claw combined with the collagen, because as we all get older, our collagen drops in our body and we need that in order to keep our joints healthy.
And why is this collagen better than that cheap stuff?
Well, the peptides are cut short, first of all, and it's top door collagen, and it's able to cross the brain-blood barrier, where you're absorbing about 95% of this product versus what you would get in another product with collagen. You'll be lucky to absorb about 5%. So people tell me all the time, like I can tell a difference. They tell me they feel better, just overall feel better, overall feeling of well-being, just feeling healthier, having more energy.
And we've had people talk about their eyes, right?
Right. And it's also really good for eye health. I had a lady not too long ago that had a retinal surgery, and she was in a lot of pain and having some, vision issues after, and she started taking the elixir, and she said she really noticed that it helped her. But it is supposed to help. Different doctors that have, been on talking about this product, that promote the product, say that that's one thing that it does target is the vision. Mm-hmm. Mainly like joint health, vision, skin issues, but we have hair, a lot of gut issues. You had
because the lining of your gut is collagen.
Right, the lining of your gut, and your gut's
leaky
really
gut's a problem.
Right, and it affects everything. So I just can't say enough about this product. It's helped me so much. I feel way better than I did before I started taking it. I have more energy.
And your hairdresser says you have more hair.
My hair grows so fast that I have to get it cut way more frequently than I used to. So, but I just love talking to the people and hearing all the positive comments, and about 80% of people that subscribe to this do not get off of it. And so,
which tells you something.
Right. So that tells you that it's working. And it really helps us in supporting the network. So I wouldn't push a product that I didn't feel would help people, but I just feel like this product is just overall, it just does so many different things for your health. And also the astaxanthin is a strong antioxidant. So it fights free radicals and all that can help you with.
Right.
We all need antioxidants. So the collagen, which is the top drawer, the cat's claw, and the antioxidant, all three of those combined. And then there's also vitamins. I hear people say sometimes, well, I take all these vitamins, so I can't really afford the elixir. But there's vitamins in this product as well. There's C, A, E, and I think there's like one other vitamin in it as well. So, if that's an issue, you could always, cut back on some of your vitamins.
And some of those vitamins they're taking may be really cheap, bad vitamins that are
kind
not
of wash through your system.
Yeah, washing through
right.
anyway.
But with all these products combined, you're able to retain the vitamins and the nutrients. And like I said, I can't say enough about the product. And the skincare is amazing as well. If you're looking for really good skincare that helps target fine lines and wrinkles and keeps your face hydrated. That was one thing that it really has done for me, is help my face stay hydrated. And I just love it. So
good. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. She's the one that introduced us to this product. She's the one that made me get on it. I was like, yeah, it's
I
good.
don't usually do that. But
No, you don't usually do that. But she made me get on it. I was like, yeah, it's good for you. But I wasn't really going to.
I could tell more energy within the first few days of being on it and was sleeping better, just a variety of things that it helped right away.
Well, she made me get on it. I'm glad I did because my hands cleared up. I haven't taken a Pepsid since December of 2023. Hair growth has been amazing. So again, we've just had great results. And again,
it's a great way to help support us.
yeah,
So.
great way to support us as well. So do that. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. I'm Brandon House, and welcome to World YouTube's history of the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. On March 21st, 1981, Reagan and his wife Nancy attended a fundraising event at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. In his autobiography entitled An American Life, President Reagan wrote, quote, "I looked up at the presidential box above the stage where Abe Lincoln had been sitting the night he was shot and felt a curious sensation. I thought that even with all the Secret Service protection we now had, it was probably still possible for someone who had enough determination to get close enough to the president to shoot him," end quote. It was March 30th, 1981, just 69 days into Ronald Reagan's presidency. The new president, known for his optimism and charm, had already captured the nation's heart. But on that day, as he left the Washington Hilton after addressing a labor union conference, a shocking event would test his resilience and alter the course of American history. At 2:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, President Reagan emerged from the hotel's secure area known as President's Walk. We're here at the Washington Hilton. It was on March 30th, 1981. President Ronald Reagan survived an assassination attempt by gunman John Hinckley. At about 1:45 Washington time on March 30th, President Reagan arrived. He walked through a double door here, our door that's right behind this garage door that's now been installed. Prior to that, there was no garage. Since they have installed this garage door and bricked area, it's known as the President's Walk. It was actually put in here after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. It was known as a secure area. The Secret Service had done many events here, and the president didn't have very far to walk to his limo, the door being open right there. But he entered the President's Walk door just on the other side of that garage door on March 30th at 1:45. He came out after giving a speech. He came out at 2:27. When he did, he walked out of that door, headed toward his limo that's right behind our cameraman, Logan. One of the things I noticed when I was preparing to come here and visit was the wall that is here. And I could make out the stone. And right up here, you have a very unique stone that has that curve on this end and then on that end. But then you notice it has that little half circle up there. This is right where you see President Reagan's hand and his thumb lifted up to wave. So as he comes out of the door that's now behind this garage door, headed toward his limo back door, he raised his hand to wave. which again puts us lined up with the brick that we're able to actually identify based on the significant cuts in the brick, allow us to identify about where he was standing that day. Is that lining up pretty good, Logan?
Yes.
Yeah. Then someone called his name, Mr. Reagan, Mr. President, and he turns and does this, and that's when he was shot. As he approached his limousine, 25-year-old John Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots from a .22 revolver. He fired them in under 2 seconds.
More about John Warnock Hinckley Jr. The Secret Service keeps tabs on 400 individuals it considers the most likely political assassins, but Hinckley's name was not on that list or among 25,000 other names of less probable presidential assailants. So just who is John Hinckley Jr.? We have reports beginning with Charles Murphy.
Highland Park is one of the richest suburban towns in America. John Hinckley and his family lived in a house that would sell today for around $300,000. Hinckley is barely remembered at Highland Park High School, where he graduated in 1973. His picture is in the yearbook, a neatly dressed young man, but teachers had trouble recalling anything about him. One classmate said he just sort of blended in.
He was a kid who didn't really have a lot that made him stand out.
No one from this period of his life could imagine him being accused of yesterday's crime.
To think that I knew someone who had shot a president and that I had no idea that he'd be capable of such an outrageous act.
When he left this neighborhood 8 years ago, he was, by all accounts, well-liked and seemingly normal. Then something went wrong. For the next few years, he would be an intermittent student at Texas Tech at Lubbock, an aimless, somewhat erratic student. The acquisition of guns started here, and on one of his last visits to Dallas last fall, he would buy 2 guns at Rocky's pawn shop, one of which the FBI says was used in the assassination attempt. Charles Murphy, ABC News, Dallas.
Hinckley would have been standing right in this area waiting for the president to exit. According to the numerous reports we've read, and there have been a lot of people that have studied this, there's some excellent books out about it, Hinckley was only about 15 feet, completely unscreened, and about 15 feet from the president up against or near this wall, which is why now they've put this barricade there to keep people back and away. So this is how close he was.
Get him out! 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 Get the ambulance! All right, stay back! Get him back! Get the ambulance! I got one!
The nation holds its breath as the president's life hangs in the balance. The bullets, they struck 4 men. The first hit Press Secretary James Brady in the head, leaving him paralyzed. The second struck D.C. police officer Thomas Delante. He was hit in the neck. The third missed. And the fourth hit Secret Service agent Timothy McCarthy in the chest as he shielded President Reagan.
Timothy J. McCarthy, welcome to the Michael Reagan Show.
Oh, thanks, Brandon. Nice talking to you today.
Thank you for being with us. And I know our audience appreciates it as well. And we saw the images over and over again of that assassination attempt, which happened in a matter of seconds going down. And watching your bold and brave actions, I'm sure it was just a matter of natural instinct. That's the way you were trained. But give us your remembrance of that day and the events before, during, and after.
Well, there are no normal days when you're assigned to the President of the United States, but it was a day we were going to the Washington Hilton Hotel, and I arrived at the White House working a day shift around 6 o'clock in the morning for the normal briefings, and we were briefed up on the trip to the Washington Hilton. Special Agent Bill Green did the advance there. Everything seemed normal. He had about a week to do the advance, which was pretty normal, working with local police and all the other federal agencies to set up the security. There was no unusual intelligence on that date, certainly not anything about John Hinckley. We went to the Washington Hilton Hotel. The president gave his speech. In the briefing, they said, as we know, he was only president for about 60 days at that time, and he was still putting his government together, his cabinet and others. So they advised that we wouldn't be doing any rope lines, no handshaking. It was right back to the White House. So we're just about back to the armored limousine and preparing to leave to go back to the White House. But you never know. President Reagan, being the type of person he was, he loved to shake hands. If someone said, "Mr. President," he was going to go over there and shake hands and say hello to him. So you have to be watched very carefully. And so I was watching the president and watching the crowd, and everyone was saying, "Mr. President." And just I turned to see the president over my right shoulder. I looked back to the crowd, and John Hinckley was to my left and pushed himself forward and fired 6 rounds in about 1.5 seconds. And, of course, hit Tom Delahanty, Jim Brady, myself. The next round hit the armored window of the armored limousine. The round after that, miraculously, ricocheted off the car and hit the president under the left armpit as Jerry Parr and Ray Shattuck were pushing him into the car. And then the 6th round went across the street. And it was, in spite of the fact that the president was wounded and quite frankly almost killed, it was a heck of a team effort by people like Bill Green, Ray Shattuck, Jerry Parr, Bob Wanko, a lot of agents that prevented him from being hit more than once, which I think helped save his life. I was injured laying on the ground, but I still had my radio on and was conscious up until the time they took me into surgery and heard that they were taking the president back to the White House. So I was extremely pleased to think at the moment that he wasn't injured. So I was, in spite of the fact I was in a little bit of pain, felt, well, we accomplished our mission. I was deeply disappointed when I heard on my radio that the president was going to George Washington Hospital because I suspected then, of course, something was wrong. I arrived there.
A bulletproof vest?
Pardon me?
Were you wearing a bulletproof vest?
No, I don't bring that up, Brandon. The fact that ever since then you have to wear your vest anytime you leave the White House. But going back then to 1981, bulletproof vests, while we had them, they were pretty. Policemen and Secret Service was pretty much optional at that time. But after that, it became mandatory. And as we know, the president was seriously injured. He was almost killed by John Hinckley. But he was a big, strong guy, and he recovered well, and fortunately served out his presidency.
And when the shot started, you as we watched the footage of that day, you begin to back up toward the president to give cover. I mean, was this a conscious movement on your part, or was this just training?
Well, that's right, Brandon. It was training. We simulate those things in the Secret Service constantly. Videotape it, attack someone who is designated as the president. There's several theories that are used. The arm's reach theory, if the attacker is that close, or to cover and evacuate, which is normally the case. And my job was to cover the president as best I could. Ray Shattuck and Jerry Parr quickly pushed him into the car. Other agents were going at Hinckley at that moment. Other agents were on the follow-up car, preparing to get to the hospital and provide security there. So it was, if you look at a lot of the videotape, you'll find that a lot of the policemen and firemen hit the deck, took cover. It's exactly
they didn't have the training you did.
Exactly what they were supposed to do. Our training was quite different. To cover, make ourselves as big as we could, and evacuate the president.
Hold right there. We come back from the break. I want to hear the rest of the story and what you and President Reagan had to say to each other afterwards. You're listening to The Michael Reagan Show. My guest is former Secret Service agent Timothy J. McCarthy.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
And now,